Welcome back. For the market, still down close to about 0.6, 0.7%. So we've pretty much stayed with this cut of about 80 points in the Nifty and about a 280 points in the Sensex in the last 1 year. The mid-cap index is down close to about 0.5%. It's time now to get you a few F&O trading strategies. Yogesh Mehta of Motilal Oswal is here with us. Yogesh, what are you recommending?
Hi, good morning. Since market has given a reversal pattern today and it is a bearish belt hold candle right now on the Nifty, it shows that Nifty has got a support at 11,880 to 11,890 level. If it breaches, then 11,830 would be the next level. And on the stock specific front, we are recommending here Reliance. From the current price, one can initiate a buy, keeping a stop loss of 13.15 in future segment, and target could be in the range of 1370 to 1375. The other one is buy side on Tata Motors. Stock was languishing throughout last 3-4 sessions, but now it has shown a divergence on the charts, and one can keep a stop loss on the long side. One can keep a stop loss of 168 in the future segment, and the target could be in the range of 178 to 180 levels. The third one is a short candidate on Kotak Bank. It has made a swing high on 23rd May and post that it is not crossing over that, and it is reluctant to go up, and distribution pattern is visible. Today it has broken the crucial support of 1487. One can initiate short position in Kotak Bank, keeping a stop loss of 1505 in future segment. Target could be in the range of 1440.
Okay. Thanks very much, Yogesh. Appreciate you joining in with those trading ideas. So 82 points still lower. I mean, we started with 80 points down and we are ending with 80-point cut. Market breadth is negative. 980 stocks lower, 650 stocks higher. And I mean, market breadth actually has been negative for 3 days in a row now. Even when the Nifty has been higher, market breadth has been in the negative. I mean, on Monday it was deep in the negative. Yesterday it was sort of skewed in favor of declines, and today the it's the same kind of numbers, same kind of ratio once again. But I think the focus really has to be on individual stocks, and we'll continue to do that over the course of the next couple of hours. It's a wrap from Reema, me, everyone on the show here on Trading Hour. Thanks very much for watching. There's more coming up on Halftime Report with those individual stocks in just a bit.
Brought to you by Sumadhura, home you don't want to leave.
Papa story.
Okay. Alexa, tell us a bedtime story.
Once upon a time, there lived a lion in the jungle. The lion ate his lunch and soon went to sleep under a great...
Alexa, what sound does a lion make?
Amazon Echo, stories, music, information, and more. Just ask.
Anuj, what a choppy day in the market.
Bulls are still winning the battles. So to be the market could have easily fallen a lot today.
It's a critical last 1 hour. Nimesh, extremely volatile day of trade. What's the market buzz today?
Well, the buzz is the Nifty can actually double to 20,000 levels over the next 5 years.
Time to get interactive. Ashwini, a Twitter user wants to know if it's a good time to invest.
It appears that clearly from a domestic focused rally, we are now moving to a global focused rally.
Anuj, it's our favorite time to go out there and connect with all those people who have questions.
Surabhi, this is my favorite part of the day, interacting with our audience.
Tune in to find out what could make or break your trades. NSE Closing Bell at these times on CNBC TV 18.
Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies.
We get you all the buzz in the commodity market.
The Commodity Champions. At these times. Only on CNBC TV 18. A decisive mandate, heralding in an era where promises can turn into action and ideas into enterprise. Demanding decisive policy strategy for productive action. Will Budget 2019 engineer India's new blueprint for growth? Decode India's most important fiscal policy with India's best business journalists. Budget 2019, Modi 2.0, decisive mandate, decisive budget on CNBC TV 18, your budget headquarters. This is TV 18 and you're watching CNBC TV 18.
Brought to you by MedLife, India's largest online pharmacy.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. Well, it's 12 noon. We're halfway through the trading session. It's a good time to run you through all that's going on today. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and with me today, I have Sumaira up, the co-anchor for the next 1 hour odd. Hey, Sumaira, good to have you on the show, but not a great day for the Bulls.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, not a great day for the Bulls. The Sensex now down about 270 odd points. The Nifty once again getting closer to that 11,800 odd marks, about 0.7% gone on the frontliners. The mid-cap index faring just a tad better, but in no way close to green, so about 0.5% gone over there. And another day running, the banking stocks continuing to take that bit of a hit. But we'll take you through all the market action. First up, our top stories. It's a weekday of trade on the Lal Street. Sensex and Nifty trade at the day's low, dragged lower by weakness in financials. Mid-cap index mildly outperforms, but still trades 0.5% lower.
And Indiabulls Housing Finance is one of the biggest losers today. The company has moved Supreme Court alleging blackmail. The stock continues to decline over allegations of fund siphoning, despite the management clarification yesterday.
DHFL gains on news that the company has paid back 962 crore rupees interest on NCDs, which was due on the 4th of June within the 7-day grace period via sale of Aadhaar proceeds as well as internal accruals.
Reliance Capital and Reliance Home Finance trade week after PwC resigns as the auditor of the companies. The other group stocks like Reliance Power and Reliance Communication tumble in trade.
And steel stocks gain after CNBC TV18 learns from sources that the Steel Ministry is pitching to recast the existing anti-dumping norms.
Okay, all right. The Nifty is under some pressure. The Sensex as well as down more than 250 points odd. But let's get straight to our movers and shakers segment, because there are plenty of stocks that are moving around. And let's start off with Yes Bank. Ritu's with us in the studio to run us through details as well as what she's picking up on that front. Ritu.
Well, you know, there have been two recent resignations from the board of Yes Bank, and that coupled with the downgrades that we saw recently has really worried investors. So we try to ascertain the reason for these resignations. And from what we've been able to gather from our sources within the bank is that they were indeed for personal reasons and not linked to any particular discord among the board members. Do remember one of the resignations that last came in from Mukesh Sabharwal comes even as the bank was looking to reappoint him for a period of 1 year, which is when his 8-year tenure as mandated by RBI was to end in April of 2020. Now we're given to understand that, you know, he resigned just a day before the AGM, so he does not have to go through that reappointment. And even Ajay Kumar, you know, having served as the MD and CEO and having, you know, pulled the bank through that last 1 year of a very tough period, chose to resign for personal reasons. Whether there was anything beyond that, we have not been able to confirm. But reports suggesting that Rana Kapoor is seeking to make a comeback in the board, you know, that has also been debunked by the sources that we spoke to within the bank, who've said that, you know, currently under the rules, it is very tough for Rana Kapoor to find a board position because the articles of association of the bank itself make it very clear that the co-promoters can jointly nominate only up to 3 members. 2 members have already been nominated by Rana Kapoor and by co-promoter Madhu Kapoor, and the 3rd member would have to be jointly accepted by Madhu Kapoor, something which we're given to understand will be very tough for Rana Kapoor to secure, unless of course he replaces his nominee Ravindra Khanna with himself, which is something which we haven't seen so far. So it is tough to say at this point of time if Rana Kapoor will find favor. This even as the bank is holding an AGM as we speak to ratify these 2 appointments that have been made by the Crow promoters. We even spoke to Rana Kapoor, who confirmed the same to us. He said, any reports saying that I'm seeking directorship are false, and I have already made 2 nominations to the board as per the current rules.
All right, well, good or bad, Yes Bank refuses to be out of the news. Ritu, thanks very much for that. Okay, the other group that has been in the news for a while now is, of course, the Reliance Group. So Abhishek is here to tell us the new issues that are plaguing RelCap and Rel Home Finance. Abhishek.
Well, Sumera, PwC has resigned as auditors of both Reliance Capital as well as Reliance Home Finance. The reasons mentioned by PwC are, as part of the ongoing audit for FY 18-19, they found certain observations on certain transactions. So these transactions, as per their assessment, could have financial implications if at all they are not resolved satisfactorily. So it did not receive any response from, satisfactory response from RelCap when the issues were raised by them. The company did not hold an audit committee meeting itself on the issues raised by PwC. Reliance ADAG, on the other hand, as per PwC, has mentioned that it might initiate legal proceedings based on the queries raised by PwC. So therefore, being prevented from a free audit and independent, judgment capability, PwC has decided to actually withdraw itself from auditing the numbers of RelCap as well as Reliance Home Finance. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Abhishek, thanks so much for that. Well, I think we had some official statements that are coming in there in terms of Rishabh Pant, who's going to be flying in there to the World Cup and, filling in for Shikhar Dhawan. I think that's the official comment that came out. We just had it flashing for you on the screen. Shikhar Dhawan had injured his thumb in the last match against Australia. So we had that news flashing for you as the screen. I think this is an official statement now that's coming in there. It's fly to England. Yeah, he's the backup for the injured Shikhar Dhawan. So just addressing that piece of news as well. But let's move on. Let's talk about Motherson Sumi. Sonia is joining us to run us through what brokerages are making of that stock. Sonia, over to you.
Well, yes, that pretty much is their premise on which they write the report. They say that a lot of these auto ancillary companies that have a global exposure are now trading at very cheap valuations, and some of them, like Motherson Sumi, have a great track record. So it's a good time to be buying some of these stocks. So just to tell you the lines, Credit Suisse has written in their report that after a sharp correction, Motherson Sumi warrants some attention. It's trading at a 1 standard deviation below its 10-year average. Not just that, Varroc Engineering is also trading at a discount to its global lighting peers, and they see very little scope for further derating. So they believe the worst is over, at least as far as the stock performance is concerned. For Motherson, they expect normalization in demand and revenues from the second half of the year, and that should help margins going forward. Also, both these companies, Motherson and Varroc, have sizable tailwinds from the domestic BS6 opportunity. Remember, from April 1st, 2020, there will be that transition to BS6. And because of that, a lot of these component manufacturers will have a huge demand as the OEMs transition to newer products. They reiterate their positive stance on both Motherson and Varroc. And Motherson, though, stands higher in the pecking order because of a strong track record. Back to you.
Sonia, thanks very much. DHFL also is having a good day today. They've paid back the dues, within the 7-day grace period. So Abhishek is here to line that up for us. Abhishek.
Well, Sumera, in an exchange filing yesterday, DHFL did mention that they have repaid the NCD's dues about 962 crores within the 7-day grace period that they had from last week to now. So these dues were paid via the proceeds coming in from the stake sale in Aadhaar as well as internal accruals. So this repayment actually helps them, mitigate the default tag in terms of, defaulting on the NCDs that were due. Now, DHFL from September 2018 to about now has repaid over 36,000 crore of its liabilities as and when they have matured or have been asked for without taking any fresh funds from any lender. So, company will seek a rating upgrade. Remember that last week, rating agencies like CARE, CRISIL, ICRA, Brickwork, etc. had downgraded the rating on DHFL to D, which was the first time that we saw any NBFC or a BFSI unit being downgraded to D. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Abhishek. Well, let's go across to Ashmit. He's joining in to give us an update on Indiabulls housing finance. Ashmit?
Well, just to give our viewers the benefit of the context, IHFL, this is a company that is eyeing a merger with Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Subsequently, they will be seeking a banking license as well. It is now in the context of this that we had a PIL that was essentially filed before the Apex Court. The PIL had raised some very, very serious questions about siphoning off of money by promoter entities, by Sameer Gehlot. He'd named Sameer Gehlot by name, and that was a cause of concern here. In fact, the company, in various subsequent days of trading, had lost a huge degree of money as well. And it is on the back of that IHFL today moved the Apex Court. seeking extraordinary remedies here. Usually, it's the petitioner who's filed the case who mentions the matter before the apex court for listing. Today, it happens to be the respondent. IHFL has moved the apex court, whereby they're making their position quite clear that they believe this is nothing but an attempt to blackmail the company. Given the position where it is with respect to regulatory bodies, this is nothing but an attempt to blackmail, and that too, the council's argued, was an exceptional attempt at blackmailing, given as how this is being done through the judicial process. In fact, the council pointed out that the petitioner in question has only 4 shares, and that even these 4 shares were bought only a few weeks back. That by profession, the petitioner happens to be a milk vendor, and that it's highly unlikely that a milk vendor will be able to file such a sophisticated application, making these serious charges. And towards that end, IHFL making its position here that they are suffering daily losses. They've already lost 7,000 crore rupees in terms of market cap, and that the time is now for the apex court to address this concern, to allow IHFL to rebut these charges and to do away with these allegations entirely. So towards that end, the apex court today will clarify at 2 p.m. on whether or not it is going to agree to hear this IHFL application seeking early listing. Back to you.
Ashman, thanks very much for that. Also, the steel stocks are doing well today. An excited lot in an otherwise dull market. The Dharmendra Pradhan-led Steel Ministry, we understand, has reached out to the Commerce Ministry asking for a relook into the norms that govern the import of steel into India, and they've called for a relook into the anti-dumping norms as well. Rituparna Bhuyan joins in with the very latest. Ritu.
The issues that have been raised on tariff as far as steel issues are concerned can be divided into 3 parts. 2 of these are related to anti-dumping. What the Steel Ministry has told its commerce counterpart is that as far as anti-dumping duties on steel are concerned, they have become ineffective. That is because the reference price based on which the anti-dumping duty is imposed, they have become outdated. The reference price on anti-dumping duty, according to the Steel Ministry, was arrived at after an investigation during the months from July to December of 2015. Since then, the factors that went into getting that reference price have changed, and hence we need to relook the reference price. That is one. Second issue that has been raised regarding anti-dumping duty is the norms under which the anti-dumping duty gets imposed. We use what is known as the lesser duties rule, and we do not impose anti-dumping duty based on the dumping margin, which is done by other countries. So Steel Ministry has said that we should be doing away with this lesser duty rule and instead, look at having anti-dumping duty on the entire dumping margin. Last issue that has been raised is regarding free trade agreements, especially regarding the RCEP mega FTA, in which 16 countries, including China, are a part. The Steel Ministry has urged the Commerce Ministry to keep the steel sector out as much as possible as far as the RCEP mega FTA is concerned.
Okay, all right. Rituparna, thanks so much for joining in. Well, if you get all 3, it'll be great news, right? If you can get those tariffs, that'll be increased. If India is kept out of the free trade agreement, it'll be splendid news. That's been the steel stocks, all the managements on a quarterly basis, they have been asking for this. Let's see whether or not it comes about. A couple of those stocks doing well. JSW Steel, those not moving higher. So maybe, in fact, the street not very, very, positive in terms of expecting that. Otherwise, you'll have JSW Steel that will do the best out there. But let's do a quick recap then of all the top buzzing stocks. We have Yes Bank, Reliance Home Finance, Relcap, Motherson Sumi, DHFL, Indiabulls Housing Finance, and finally all the ferrous stocks, JSPL as well as Tata Steel. Both of them are reacting today.
All right, and it's a special day today as our very own Nifty Futures celebrates its birthday. Anuj is here to take us through this 19-year journey. Anuj.
Well, 19 years for Nifty Futures. In fact, the debut was made today, 19 years back, June 12, 2000. I remember what I was doing just out of college. Manchester United had won yet another Premier League title. Absolutely no care for anything in the life. But in between, of course, we had this foundation being laid for what became really the benchmark of Indian market, which is the Nifty Futures. And just see how it's evolved. On the day of the debut, the volume was 2.31 crores. Today, on the very low volume day, we do 10,000 crores almost daily on Nifty Futures. And open interest on day 1 was 7,400 shares. That's gone up to well over 2 crore shares. The journey of Nifty Futures essentially can be mapped into 3 phases. From the start till about 2003-04, when we had that bit of a bear market going on, it didn't really pick up. As you can see, the journey, the volume was about 2 crores. It remained till about 100 crores, 130 crores till 2002. 2003 was start of what was, and for me still remains, India's biggest bull market, the 2003 to 2007 phase. That's when most of the wealth was created in Indian market. From 577 crores, it picked up and went all the way up to 5,400 crores in next 1 year. That was the extent of pickup that we had in Nifty futures volumes in that 1-2 year period. After that, the market went through a bit of a lull, and that's because the market had to go through that May 2004 period when for the first time our market was circuit down. A lot of people lost a lot of money, a lot of traders went bankrupt, a lot of people decided never to touch futures and options again, and slowly the volume started to dwindle. In fact, we reached a stage where the volumes were back to the lows of about 1,400, 1,500 crores in November 2004 from the highs of nearly 5,000 crores. After that, of course, there was a bit of a recovery, and then there was no looking back. After that, these stats, just kept increasing: 7,000 crores, 8,000 crores, 10,000 crores, 11,000 crores, 12,000 crores in 2005. And 2006-07, which is when we went through a bit of a bubble formation in our market. In fact, back in 2007, we reached a stage where one day the Nifty future volume was almost 35,000 crores, something which we don't even do today unless it's expiry day. That was the kind of volumes that we had in 2007. After that, of course, you had many other instruments. The Bank Nifty futures caught up, stock futures, Nifty options, Bank Nifty options. So all of these weekly options, etc. But even today, Nifty futures still is the #1 instrument as far as the overall futures and options are concerned, and worldwide among top 3 or 5 traded instruments. So that's a big journey for Nifty futures, 19 today.
All right, Anuj, thanks very much for that. And now let's hop across to the Morgan Stanley India Summit, which is ongoing in Mumbai, where our colleague Priya Shed is in conversation with Sanjeev Puri, the chairman and MD of ITC.
Rolling. Very much, Mr. Puri, for joining us today. This is the first time we're speaking to you after you've taken over the role of chairman. What are your top 2 priorities at ITC, both on the top line front as well as on the growth front?
Well, our focus, as you know, like in the past, has been in growing our FMCG businesses. So that is where the priority remains. And aside from that, the rest of the portfolio also has a lot of opportunities. So we will continue to invest to strengthen our competitiveness and leadership in those segments.
So what about the cigarettes business? What about growth in them? We've seen 7 to 8% kind of volume growth panning out in the last quarter. What is your assessment and outlook for the space?
Well, the biggest challenge the cigarette industry faces is that of high taxation that leads to a growth in smuggling. And India is amongst the top 5 countries as far as illicit cigarettes are concerned. 1 in 4 is already illicit in India. So whenever there is a high rate of taxation, actually the consumption does not get impacted, but the legal consumption moves to the illegal space. So depending on the balance of the two is what will determine the growth of the industry. Moderate taxations are good because it will make sure that the illegal industry does not get an unusual amount of boost.
Talking about taxation and talking about the new government, the Modi government has come for the 2nd consecutive term. And of course, in terms of stimulus, what do you think that the government needs to put into place to bring back growth across sectors?
Well, I think from what we are hearing in the media reports already, the government is focused on a 100-day plan. And the important sectors, as we understand, are getting the right amount of focus. That's the agriculture piece, the piece to bring back liquidity, the piece to drive further investment in the economy. I think the right areas are being addressed, and we are hopeful that in the budget and beyond that, they will continue to receive adequate attention.
What is your key expectation from the budget?
Well, my expectations are similar to what I have said earlier. I think it's important for these facets to move into a higher growth trajectory. So the growth in consumption will follow from that.
Talking about consumption over the last 4 to 5 months, we've seen a bit of a slowdown across the space, both in the rural as well as in the urban channels. Are you still seeing some sort of sluggishness, stress? In which pockets are you seeing that? And do you think that this is short-lived?
Well, yes, there is some sluggishness right now and has been so in the recent past. But I believe that this is a blip
I think the structural drivers for growth are in place. We are extremely optimistic, and with now a new government with a decisive mandate and a government that has a very clear vision of economic transformation, I think the best is to come, and that's why we are not holding back any of our investments. We continue to invest with great amount of optimism.
So in terms of volumes, do you think FMCG volumes will move upwards from now on, or is it going to be still a price value equation that's going to be playing out?
It may take a quarter or two to start picking up, but for sure it will pick up. I look at this as a short-term blip only.
Just the last question before I let you go, sir. There have been lots of businesses within the group that you've been restructuring. One is the hotels business, also the lifestyle retailing business. How do you think that's going to help cost efficiencies within the group in terms of growth also? And are there any more businesses that you look at a larger restructuring?
Well, we have been restructuring only the lifestyle retailing business. We have not restructured the hotels business. It's the lifestyle retailing business that we have restructured. We recently sold off John Plair's, and what remains of the business is under restructuring as well. So that's the piece that we are restructuring, not anything else.
Sir, what part of restructuring is still remaining in the lifestyle retailing business?
We have the other brand, the WLS brand, which we are restructuring.
All right, and that should be completed in what period of time?
It should take a year's time.
All right, sir. Many thanks for joining us today, and it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Moderate taxation in tobacco will ensure no boost to the illegal industry. So that, I think, is the big takeaway. And they'll take around 2 quarters for the FMCG business to resume that growth path. Well, on that note, we'll slip in a short break. You come back, we'll get you more on the markets and on various stocks as well. Stay with us.